It's time for Lefties Losing It. You know, nature is healing. Things are getting better day by day, even as the demented Democrats call for Donald Trump to be impeached for a targeted strike against Iran's nuclear facilities. Still, the number of sane, rational folk is increasing. You know, things are looking up when a confirmed TDS sufferer like Charlemagne is belatedly seeing the light. Now, this is going to outrage his lefty audience. There'll be meltdowns galore because he's spitting facts.
There have been a bunch of presidents who have ordered strikes without congressional approval. Barack Obama did it against Libya. Joe Biden ordered strikes in Iraq and Syria without congressional approval. Bill Clinton did it to, was it Kosovo? I think you pronounce it. So presidents ordering military action without congressional approval has become pretty routine.
And he's not alone. Here's another Democrat, another lefty losing it. He used to rail against Trump. Well, he's now defending him. Stephen A. Smith is angry, not at the president, but at the Democrats and their calls for impeachment.
The Democrats are calling, or at least some of them, are calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. Same old song and dance. Thought we heard this before. I thought that was over and done with. The minute you lost the election with the popular vote in the Electoral College vote and losing every sweep state. I thought we were over that. Question number one. No matter what you feel about the President of the United States, do you think that's the time, while we're in the middle of such strife, to be calling for the impeachment of the President of the United States? Particularly if you're a representative, you're an elected official in the United States of America? I don't think so. That's number one. Number two, were the Democrats saying that when Obama bombed Libya, when he was in office?
It's a new day, folks. I'll be playing you some crazy lefties soon. But right now, we are just reveling in lefties who are finally seeing the light.
This is eradicating a threat. Civilians weren't targeted. Nuclear sites were targeted. You can navigate your way around the War Powers Act itself, and you don't have to concern yourself with receiving congressional approval. The Democrats know that because of Obama. So if you knew that because of Obama and you didn't say it when it involved him in Libya, why would you turn around and all of a sudden try to make that case against Donald Trump?
Really, he's done my work for me, precisely the arguments I was going to make, and now I have to listen to a lifelong Democrat make it. I may lose it myself. Now, Trump has even got Democrat Senator John Fetterman, once a far-left radical, criticising AOC and her calls for Trump to be impeached.
She knows it. I know it. We all know it. That's not going anywhere. And, you know, he's been impeached twice, and now he's still our president as well now, too. So it's not going anywhere, and I don't think that's helpful. And I think if you throw that term around, that actually diminishes what the severity of what impeachment is really reserved for.
And here's more lefties getting an education. Old school lefty Bill Maher and his audience got a strong dose of logic from Republican Wesley Hunt about the importance of not tearing down Confederate statues and the importance of restoring the names of military bases. Listen to this.
Trump is putting the Robert E. Lee name back on buildings. I mean, are you down with that?
So when I was at West Point, I actually lived in Robert E. Lee barracks when I was there. And as I said,
Robert E. Lee went to West Point.
Yes, he did. That's why the barracks named after him. And so my brother, sister, and I are matriculated through West Point. We all graduated. And I'll never forget walking under the threshold of Robert E. Lee barracks and think to myself, damn, this is one hell of a country. Because only in America can someone like me walk into a building named after a Confederate general and then be a successful West Point graduate.
Yes.
And I do not want to take down these statues and change the names of these buildings because they're a reminder of what was. And if we don't remember it, we are doomed to repeat it.
Okay. Oh. So there's a reason for it, I see.
As if it's not bad enough that I have the likes of Charlemagne and Stephen A. Smith making my arguments for me, now here is Bill Maher poking fun at the dangerously dim-witted and delusional ladies of The View.
Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran. You know, I see we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity, and a second good step would be we got to do something about The View. really believe that. I mean, could you just
It's huge in Iran, though.
Stay in your lane, Bill Maher. Mocking lefties is my territory. You go back to, I don't know, smoking dope and poking fun at Christians. But I do want to play you this brilliant response to Whoopi's insane victim playing from Wesley Hunt. And note again the audience clapping. This is Bill Maher's audience. This wouldn't have happened a few years ago.
My district in the great state of Texas is actually a white majority district that President Trump would have won by 25 points. As I said, I'm a direct descendant of a slave. My great-great-grandfather was born on a Rosedale plantation. I am literally being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. That's the progress because, like, a lot of white people had to vote for me. A lot.
So wait,
I don't even ever want to hear Whoopi Goldberg's conversation about how it's worse to be black in America right now. That's a bit far. And my father, who's 75 years old, he was a man that was in the French quarters that had to go get a sandwich to the back door of the building. And his son is now a United States congressman in a white majority district in Texas as a Republican. That is America. That's America.
And while we're talking about The View, let's check in on the lunacy. Here is Joy Behar.
So on Thursday, the White House said that Trump was going to make a decision on Iran within the next 2 weeks. That's what he said. Remember that? Okay. He was going to give diplomatic negotiations more time to play out. And then, less than 48 hours later, this attack was underway. So what changed? And what was he actually trying to accomplish here?
I mean, look, the 2 weeks measure was clearly a bit of a head fake.
So why did he keep it a secret? For the surprise, the surprise version?
I mean, absolutely the diversion, and you saw the way that all indications were the B-2s were flying towards Guam. Everybody thought, okay, so we're getting in position to be ready. They wanted to have some element of surprise.
Did she really ask why the US didn't tell the Iranians about the surprise attack? Lost for words. Here is Sunny Hostin on The View, pretending to be an international law expert, and she gets shut down quick smart.
He bypassed Congress, potentially violated the War Powers Resolution. I believe this is certainly a clear violation of international law, at the very least. Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries accused the president of misleading the country as to his intentions. What do you think are the possible ramifications that President Trump could face for arguably overstepping his authority?
Well, look, constitutionally, only Congress has the power to declare war. The War Powers Act would make it seem very clear you need to have congressional approval on this. But president after president after president has launched military action without the approval of Congress.
Yeah.
Now, here is further proof that blue cities are mad and willing to elect ever more radical miscreants. New York's mayoral race is underway, and Zohran Mamdani, a socialist, the New York Post reports, has barely ever held a job and admits to being a nepo baby. Well, he could be the next mayor. He could be the man to lead a city of 8.8 million people. This guy.
Down for you. Make a sound for you. Go ahead, make a rap for you, Nani. It's a rap. Get the glass in the rack on your Nani. Come through, give a dab to your Nani. If you're really feeling good, spin a track for your Nani.
And more recently has been involved in violent protests against Tom Homan and the Trump administration's deportation program.